So welcome to my slide for Management 640 regarding diversity in the workplace. My final slide, final project. And we start off with a hook that hopefully catches the attention to whom I am presenting to professor or to either classmates or an example for future students or so. Anyways, so for my hook, what I'll start off with is that opportunity limitation comes from all over the country and even the world. It's crazy how some high school graduates get better paying opportunities than those with an education and accolades that make their resume go above and beyond. In all, we are all aware of the opportunities limited to those of a different ethnicity in the workplace. In this matter, a manager by the name of Charlie not only had to overcome a limited opportunity as such, but also favoritism and family played an even bigger obstacle to overcome as his opportunity was almost slimmer than nothing. Okay, so that's my hook. Onto slide number two. So my main concern, as well as the main thing I want to dissect, um, is basically why aren't applicants simply hired for their potential, skill set, or working style, despite ethnicity? Um, so in this, I have a little little dialogue regarding two different people, and call it what it may. It is, in a sense, um, name profiling, or But so we start off with Jose. Um, and with Jose, so this is what he says. Man, I could have sworn I had all the requirements and the eligibility to land the job. I felt really confident about my interview and my accolades up to this point. So this is an example of Jose being rejected the opportunity after sacrificing or making the best out of this opportunity. And then he might be labeled as a Latino with the name Jose Latino. Well, I mean, my intention is obviously he's a Latino. Okay, and then so then on the other hand, we have John, which is a more whitened name, as well as maybe his background is of white descent. Um, and he says, thankfully, Mark which is one of his colleagues, Mark was able to help land me a spot on the team. I didn't really have to prepare much for the interview as well. Networking is a new norm. Okay. So it's kind of, and he was able, well, let's say in this little skit, he was able to land a job as opposed to Jose. And for him to go out of his way and say, "Oh, he didn't have to prepare much," is kind of, uh, it's mind-boggling. It's kind of like, whoa, like that's messed up. And this is pretty like not well, in a sense, offensive or obviously biased to Jose for John, being able to land the job when they weren't really on the same, you know, alleged or the same accolades or whatever. And but I also agree with John in the point that networking today's day and age has been a new norm. Like I mentioned before in the hook, sometimes high school graduates get better paying jobs than those with degrees or with an education. That is in part because knowing the right people and all that could go a very long ways for opportunities and such. So then onto slide number three with the examples as we get started to get this going. Okay, example number one. Employers are usually very vague when providing interview feedback, and will say something like, "Sorry, we chose to move forward with someone we felt was a slightly better fit," when they reject you. I mean, it's a professional way to go about it. although, you know, they might sneak in, oh, like, hey, there might be bias. There might be discrimination when hiring a minority or someone of diversity. But I mean, this is a professional way they handle it, and it's vague feedback. And this is from the article from Sarah Landrum, and the article is called "How to Know If You're Being Discriminated Against in the Hiring Process." So basically, and a little awareness tip right here. And this article will lead to my reason, my cause, and my solution. So as we continue. Okay, and then in the second example, I have Christina Pavlov's piece. It is called so it's called Unconscious Bias in Recruitment. How can you remove it? So this is basically more aimed towards management and upper management, basically, on who they're gonna hire and so and so. With that being said, she explains in her piece, or she quotes, "Biased hiring decisions result in less diverse team, and less diversity hinders your business productivity." In other words, saying, yeah, if they hire more diversity, then they could really, show a different perspective, a different kind of productivity, and it could be beneficial for the company in the long run, or even short term. Okay, now we move on to reason number one, which backs up Landrum's example. And with this, she says, she quotes, "When there's only one position to fill, employers can argue that the individual they hired was just a better fit. Even if discrimination did play a part in why you weren't hired, they may simply argue that you made the mistake in an interview, that you did not have the same connection, or you're missing some skill the other individual had." So, I mean, basically, yeah, like as well, like they gave you vague feedback. They could just say, "Hey, it's a fitting thing," and it's understandable. I will go on later on to explain why logically fitting into a norm or a culture or a work style is sometimes what the company really needs, as opposed to someone with an extraordinary skill set. Okay, so then we move on to reason number two, which backs up what's it called? Example number two with Pavlov's. So she says, "We tend to make assumptions based on what we think we know, based on our background, based on our personal preference, and then we act upon these assumptions." So Pavlov's colleague offers a recruitment-related example. Hiring managers choose those candidates that they have a good feeling about and can explain why they want to hire that person. This leads to hiring managers, HRs, wanting to hire someone that they like presently. They like someone in the interview, or maybe the applicants remind the hiring managers of themselves. Maybe they feel like, hey, this guy can be developed a certain way, or it just depends. And this could go either way. They might like that person, and the result might not be what they expect, for the good or the bad.